My name is Brandon Ramacko, and today I'd like to talk about a gait exercise, a walking exercise, a standing exercise that really helped me correct my gait because I was getting sort of chronic foot problems and chronic foot pain, and didn't really get better until I fixed my walking, fixed how I walk, because I had developed some bad habits over time. Now, there's all sorts of exercises, and there's a theme through my educational videos that every person's problem might be unique. You might have overlapping problems, and if you don't get better, try something else, because there's more and more and more exercises out there to try and to get different health professionals to take a look. So anyway, going to walking. This is what's helped me when I had problems. So here I have a foot. It's cut open here, but ignore that. Pretend this is a normal foot. So you heel strike. You hit on your heel. The weight transfers more to the little toe side of the foot, and then it transfers over here into this point here, the base of the big toe. That's where you want to focus. A lot of people, they don't end up with the force right here. They end up sort of walking, and the force sort of transfers, and then they sort of walk off of their arch. That pronation problem where the flattens the arch. They sort of just step, and then they sort of toe off and push off with their arch, which no, the weight is supposed to go to the base of the big toe. Now my problem was this actually started when I injured my toe. I started walking off of my little toes. So I'd heel strike, and then I would push off and toe off with the outside of my foot, and I would ignore this. So for me, I had developed all sorts of atrophy and weakening of the muscles that are used in pushing this bone down into the floor. And because of all the weakening, when I started, sometimes you get worse before you get better. I got some sore muscles, but over time, my gait came back, and of course it became normal, and then the pain didn't come back. So continuing my story, heel strike. Weight sort of transfers around, ends up here. Then we go from here to big toe, and of course that's the toe off. It's that transfer from the base of big toe to involving the big toe itself, and we push off. So that is the story. Now, how do I exercise that? Well, it's visualization, and I go to extremes, then back to normal, then extremes and back to normal. What do I mean? Well, so I'll walk and I'll focus. Push, 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 push. So much so at each step I might almost go onto my tippy toes. Tippy toes, tippy toes. Then I walk with a little extra pressure, little extra pressure, little extra pressure. Then walk with trying to sort of ignore it, but I'm still paying attention to see if I'm starting to do it. And then I might do another round where I'm focusing, okay, pressure here to big toe, here to big toe. And I overdo it again. I'm doing tippy toes. Then I'm doing it where I'm definitely feeling it. And I'm putting a little extra pressure. And then I do a round, a dozen steps, a half dozen steps, where I try to sort of, I'm not exerting extra force, but I'm seeing if that exercise, by overdoing it, does my pre-programming, does my subconscious mind, my muscle memory, is it starting to get into muscle memory? So I always go back between overdoing it and then checking to see if it's made its way into muscle memory. Now, there's some visualizations that may help. For a lot of people, there are issues with the arch and the tibialis posterior tendon, in which case this cutoff actually helps, because there's the tendon here. And this tendon attaches over here, and it actually helps hold up the arch. Not only does it help hold the arch, but it's responsible for pulling down. So it's a very important tendon. So sometimes if you visualize this tendon pulling, so it's pulling from the arch, you imagine it's pulling from here, it's pulling from here, it's pulling from here. So as I'm pushing down, it's all pulling from here. That can help activate that visualization of it's pulling from right here on the foot. It's pulling right there. That visualization can activate that muscle, because of course the whole Achilles tendon, the soleus gastrocnemius, that does most of the heavy lifting. So your body can ignore that muscle, but by you focusing on it can activate that muscle. So not only will it help hold up the arch, it will help push down the foot. It'll help stabilize the ankle. And it may even straighten the foot. Instead of walking sort of flared out, by pulling here, it actually rotates it straight. So it might do all those things. Oh yeah, I walk like this now. I push off of the arch. It might fix all of those problems by imagining and visualizing pulling with the tibialis posterior. Now, there's lots of visualizations here. So I might add that as a separate exercise. Now I've done my first exercise, extreme, middle. Is that muscle memory yet? Back and forth. And if you have a long walk to do, you can exercise the whole way through your walk. this could be another visualization. Now I'm going to imagine I'm doing those exercises and I'm focusing, I'm visualizing this tendon. Another tendon to visualize is on the other side. If you're prone to ankle sprains on the outside of the ankle and prone to ankle stability issues, there's a similar tendon on the outside that wraps around and wraps under the foot to the base of the big toe. So you can imagine there's a tendon that's pulling across and then up. You can imagine that when you're pushing up, you can feel a tendon pulling across the base and up the back. And you're going up into your tippy toes. And maybe you're doing even just a set of exercises of calf raises, and you're imagining that pulling. I also did this, and actually my part of my calf was sore, and it was that muscle, the peroneus longus muscle, and it was weak, and I had a little bit, I felt like my ankle was unstable, and after doing this a few sessions, so after about a week, I felt my ankle was much more stable. So even for me, doing these visualizations strengthened my ankle and improved my ankle stability. So these visualizations can activate very specific muscles and can help correct muscle imbalances, get all the muscles working if you pick out the muscles that haven't been, pulling their own weight. And we can really strengthen the ankle stability and improve proper biomechanics. Proper biomechanics, you're less likely to get pain. So each stage of this exercise, you're just going to do over-exaggerated, then a little bit of force, and then try to walk normal. And basically you're checking to see if your muscle memory has clued in. And then you can repeat that same set of 3 with a different visualization. So one visualization focusing on the base of the big toe, one visualization focusing the transfer between base of big toe to big toe. And if you want another visualization, pulling with the tibialis posterior tendon. So 3 visualizations, and for each visualization, you have 3 stages of the exercise: overdoing it, a little bit, then normal. Okay, so doing calf raises, with that visualization of the peroneus longus tendon going around the foot, under the bottom. So we can go up on 2, and like this. This is the easiest version. You can go up on both, down on one side, up on both, down on one side. And the most difficult version is just up and down on one side.